Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky. Good morning. I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky.
You are too.
Have you ever heard the saying, when you're ready, the teacher will appear?
Yes.
And sometimes I think, well, I'm ready now. I'm ready. I'm
Teach
ready.
me, sensei.
Yes. Like, I need to know this. Someone come teach me.
Someone give me the answer.
And it feels like every teacher that has come around in the last 5 years, they're like, I would like $10,000, please.
Or $25,000. Yeah.
Am I right?
The cost of tuition is high.
However, I also feel that there is a point where, tell me if I'm wrong, but let me just tell you what happened to me last night and then we can talk about it. I've been doing these energy healings. I talk about it a lot, but yesterday I had one. I love my energy healings. I love my soul family. It's Rob Wirgin. That's the guy who I go to, and I think it is so fun. And plus I feel his energy coming through the Zoom. We do them virtually. It is so bizarre. Like, until this last year, I had never heard of such a thing. I'm not sure I believed in such a thing, to be real.
Watching this from an outsider's perspective.
Yes.
It's an interesting process to watch and experience because I get to see you change through it.
I not only feel his light coming through, but then it feels like in the days following and even sometimes leading up to it, my body goes through this almost detox period. So anyway, I started asking these questions. Well, how does he do this? And if he can do this, then can anyone do this? And if he has learned this skill, then there must have been a time period in his life where he was feeling like he needed this skill. He was seeking the light. He must have felt like he was carrying some bad energy, which we've all felt before. We just sometimes haven't had the wherewithal to know what it really feels like. We've all had that feeling like, I don't know, I'm in a little bit of a funk. We use words like that.
Yeah, I don't think we often seek knowledge that we don't feel like we need or want. And if we come across knowledge that we deem as useless knowledge, we discard it.
Yes.
And he has developed this expertise, this skill level of...
I like how you said expertise.
Yeah, well,
expertise.
It's this mastery level of helping people clear their energy and transmute and adjust their energies to a point where you know that he had a need to seek this knowledge and refine it so that he could teach it and help people with it.
Well, what gets me is that last night I couldn't sleep at all. So I got up in the middle of the night and I started looking at my computer and I started looking at the different educational quests that I'm in. And I kid you not, every single one has to do with healing your own energy. And within the last 3 weeks, I've been asking these questions. Now, my overall, it felt really more than coincidental, more than synchronistic. It almost felt like my computer was reading my mind.
It readjusted all the information to say, okay, this is the next chapter for you.
This is what Jana needs. Jana is ready. The student is ready. The teacher is here. It almost felt like that. You know how sometimes when you're on Instagram or Facebook or on the internet and all of a sudden an ad will appear and it'll be for something that you've been talking about or thinking about. And you're like, how did they know that I wanted that? That's exactly how it felt to me. It was like, oh my gosh, I had even you know how we've been taking the Qigong class? I've been taking a Qigong, is it Qigong?
That's how I pronounce
Qigong?
it. Qigong.
Qigong. It's spelled QI. So it's Qigong. I've been taking this Qigong class and I literally left off on the lesson, how to heal your energy. Now, what's so funny is I'm wondering if I would have continued that 3 weeks ago when I left off, if it would have hit me
the same way. Yeah, and I submit no. I think that a lot of times it has to be at the time that you're ready for it and you're open for it. Because a lot of times we get overwhelmed by information.
So then I throw up the question, well, isn't that a synchronicity that I just happen to get really busy with my keynote speech and with the studio that we're building,
planning a trip to
and
Estonia,
planning a trip, and Tater having fleas? Like, isn't it crazy how all of these other things took precedence and I had to put my Qigong class on the back burner for a few weeks?
And all those things required a different energy. So it kind of built you towards that and said, okay, let's experience this in life. Let's experience a new level here so that you seek something, a new level of
and in
your
the
energy.
meantime, I feel like I'm peeling another layer of this energy healing, because that's what happens when you're doing energy healing, is it comes off in layers. It can all come off at one time. However, for most people, if it's energy that's been on there over a long period of time, like a lifetime, if you've been one of those people, which I think I have, then it comes off in layers. And so then when a new layer arises, you raise your consciousness and you're ready for new things.
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Am I even making sense? Like, if I was to listen to myself even 5 years ago, I would be like, this chick is nuts.
she's woo-woo wacko.
However, I must say, I have been on a quest to just be my best self. And the more that I open myself up to new beliefs, new ideas, new levels of thinking, and realize that I am greater than my conditions. I am greater than the way my body feels. You know, sometimes I talk to people and they say, yeah, I want to do this, but I just don't feel good.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that in my life.
Or I'm so tired. Like all these different I am statements.
Yes. I've experienced that. And I've decided that's not good enough for me. I'm going to get over that hump.
Well, we talked briefly about life being a series of a spiritual curriculum. Mm-hmm. And that, and Einstein said that, I lost the quote right now. Oh, you can't, I think it was Einstein. You can't solve the problem with the same level of thinking that it was created with. And so you got to this point where you were like, I'm learning about energy healing. I'm getting to this point where now I'm developing mastery in it. And then all these other things came in. Mm-hmm. And it develops this overwhelm. And we feel like, okay, I've got an open mind. I've got this bandwidth where I can deal with things. Mm-hmm. However, this overwhelm has come in. We think we've got an open mind, but the overwhelm creates really a closed vision of it. Because it's almost like getting
Jason,
punched or having your plan disrupted.
It does.
And when that happens, when your plans, like you say often, life doesn't always work out the way you think it should. And as soon as your plans change, it's almost like the door closing.
You know what? In fact, last night when I couldn't sleep and all of these right teachers and right mentors and right videos were coming into my stratosphere that I was watching, One of them was when something happens, like what you're saying, when life doesn't work out the way you think it should, you go into survival mode.
Yes.
And the minute that you go into survival mode, you become defensive. And when you put up your defenses, you aren't open.
No, your vision narrows, everything gets tense. It changes your availability for resources because you're relying on surviving, not thriving. And there's a different level of energy. There's a different level of movement in and around. And that's where I think that it's kind of like a Darwinian theory of survival of the fittest, that we have now these new choice points in life where we get to decide, okay, through this spiritual curriculum, do I lean in with curiosity? Because in survival, you kind of let go of curiosity.
Oh, yeah. No, you're just doing everything you can to just keep your head above water.
Yeah, and you go strictly with what you know, because what you know is safest.
I mean, think about someone drowning. That it's not a time to learn a new swim stroke.
No.
Right?
It's like you go with whatever you think you know.
You start dog paddling, you start flailing, you do whatever you can.
It's whatever you think you know at the point.
Yes.
And that's it. And if it's working, it works. Even if it doesn't work, you continue to do what you think you know.
Because you're doing whatever you can to get rid of the feeling that you have, to get rid of the thoughts that you are having.
Yeah. And that's where if you can figure out a way to just break that cycle and open up again to the possibilities. Yes.
Which is why breathing is just so important, because if we can just sometimes take a deep breath and go, okay, am I all right in this moment? Am I okay in this moment? However, these are the little tools. These are the little hacks.
Yeah. And it's having the wherewithal to just have the awareness of it and say, am I allowing myself to tell myself that I'm overwhelmed? And can I pause in this moment?
Yeah.
And can I be grateful for the knowledge, even just of the awareness of it? And then be grateful for it, and then start looking for the opportunities and looking for the curiosity.
I hear you. Such good stuff this morning. This is one we might have to listen to a couple times, because we dropped a lot and I didn't even know how this was going to go over. I thought, oh my gosh, if I start talking about what my experience was last night and what my experience has been like this past month, people are going to think that I'm headed for Jack Nicholson's Cuckoo Nest. However, I've been wanting to watch that movie too, because he believes in people. I heard that's the underlying message there. At any rate, hey, thanks for joining us. We greatly appreciate you.
Keep living lucky.
Bye-bye. If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.